to show you all how easy it is to make delicious, and when I tell you delicious, I mean delicious, stewed chicken Gina Young style. This recipe is super simple to make. It's so much fun to make. Doesn't require a lot of ingredients. If you make it Gina Young style, you're going to want this recipe weekly. Your family's going to request it weekly. Here is what you're going to need. You're going to need some chicken. Okay, so I have a whole chicken that we will be cutting up. I have a nice, beautiful bell pepper. We got a sweet Vidalia onion. We have some gorgeous celery and a really interesting ingredient. We have butternut squash, and we also have some carrots. You're gonna need some spices to make it taste good. Today I'm gonna be using some Creole seasoning, a little bit of red pepper flakes. We have black pepper, salt, chicken bouillon powder, onion and garlic powder. And in this pan we have some water. Make sure your hands are impeccably clean. Let's get started with this delicious stewed chicken Gina Young style. First things that we're going to do is go ahead and break our chicken down into pieces. Now, since I have a whole chicken, if you want to, or you just have your chicken in the freezer that's bagged up, that's already separate, then you won't have to do this process. So let's go ahead and break it down. If you've never seen someone break a chicken down, you get to see it today. So right now, I'm going straight through the breast. Okay? Use a little bit of strength. There you go. Perfect. I just broke through that breastbone. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the leg and the thigh off, and it should always be super simple. Okay, you just kind of follow the anatomy. All right, I'm going to flip it over this way, and I want to carve the thigh off. And the joint will lead you where you need to get so you can have your leg quarter. Look at that, a beautiful leg quarter. So this part right here is the thigh, and this part is the leg, and we're gonna cut the two apart. How interesting. We didn't know this was gonna turn into this type of video today. But it's a lot of fun for me to be able to teach something super fun. So no worries about the bandage on my finger. Guess what I did, y'all? I turned around, I was covering up some chicken from last night. I took the aluminum foil and I was just kind of smoothing it around the bowl, and that aluminum foil cut me like it was a piece of hot metal. And so my husband bandaged it up for me, and he said when it gets dirty, he'll bandage it up again, because we noticed that we didn't have any Band-Aids. So he used the gauze, you know, and then he used some medical tape. So it's doing just fine. It's not hurting me, but it does need the Band-Aid, you know. Look at that, a beautiful wing. This is a Heritage Farm whole chicken, and I love Heritage Farm meat. It just always looks beautiful. So now I'm going back in for that other wing. Okay, just like this. Give it a nice whack. Sometimes you gotta yell at it. Perfect, look at that. All right, and so we're gonna take this other thigh and leg off. Just follow the joint once again. And then we'll be able to take the back off, you know, that's back here, and then cut those two breasts out. Perfect. Just follow the joint. Beautiful. So now when I make stewed chicken, I like to leave the skin on some of the pieces, because the skin and the bones is what's going to give you that amazing broth, and that broth is what we want for the flavor. So I'll leave the skin on some of the pieces, but then you'll also notice some of the pieces I'm taking the skin off. Okay, so right here is our back, and we always save the back. You can use it for, you know, a broth next time you go to make a good chicken broth. Okay, I'm just cutting right through that backbone on the side. See that? And then I'm going to cut through this other side. Boom. If you have kitchen shears, it helps very well. Sure it does. All right, and this is our chicken back. Don't ever throw it away. And all of this stuff right here, of course, is fat. We can get rid of that because we don't need it. I'm going to continue to take the fat off, and then we'll slice these breasts and get everything to boiling. We're going to put some seasonings and some vegetables in. We have our breast cut. Look how gorgeous it is. My goodness, beautiful. And I'm going to wash it off. Even though I've already washed it, I would like to wash it again. And I use lime juice, salt, and cold water, and then we're going to pat it dry with a nice paper towel, just like so, quick and simple. And the salt that I use, I kind of use it to scrub my chicken. It kind of serves as an abrasive. And if you're using vinegar, lime, or lemon juice, it will always give flavor. I feel like it cleans it, for sure it does. And there's the neck. But it gives a good flavor to your meat as well. Since the breasts are so big, I'm going to break them down, okay? So let's do that, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how I like to break it down. We're just going to whack that thing. Okay, when I get to the bone, use a little bit of force, and that's it. Quick and simple. Beautiful. And you can break it down even more if you want it to for bite-sized pieces. Okay? How about that? Perfect. My family loves a good stewed chicken recipe. And I don't mind making it. It's so simple. It's just kind of like you're throwing everything into the pot, and then you can go sit down. You can go sit down and rest and just let the recipe do what it does as it simmers together with all those lovely flavors and spices. Wash my chicken a second time, and now we're going to get our beautiful pieces right into the water. Okay, look how lovely. My goodness. All of the chicken will go in, depending on how many people you're cooking for, you know. And normally we have this for leftovers about 2 days. This should be about 2 days worth of food. Gorgeous. I'm putting the neck in. You don't have to. We have our chicken broken down, cleaned up, and into the water. Let's go ahead and make our broth taste delicious. In the meantime, I want to talk about how important it is to clean your area after you deal with raw meats, because you don't want to transfer bacteria or salmonella. Okay, in our case it would be salmonella because it's chicken. So what I did was I sanitized my cutting board, my island. I changed my bandage to a new bandage, and you just kind of tidy up after you deal with the raw meat. Okay, and always wash your hands. That way you don't transfer it to everything else that you touch. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and chop up some veggies. With the celery, you don't have to chop teeny tiny pieces. You want it to still have some nice integrity and a nice bite, right? So we're just going to chop it down this way. I hope y'all are having a great day today. And if you're not, hopefully I can brighten up your day with this recipe. Have you ever had stewed chicken? Is the question of the day. It is the question of the day. If you haven't had it, you are in for a super treat. Okay, so let's break our celery down. Some of our celery will go in right now for flavor. The other parts of the celery will go in a little bit later so you can still see them, because the veggies that we put in right now, they're just going to kind of boil away and disintegrate away into flavorland, and that's what we want them to do. But you do want to see vegetables in your recipe, right? And so that's why we're going to put fresh vegetables in a little bit later so those ones don't melt, you know, or don't disintegrate, and you can still see them and taste them. If it doesn't make sense, you'll see. You'll see, and then you'll understand the gist of what I'm trying to say. Okay, so there's our beautiful celery. Okay, we're going to go right in with this bell pepper. And you can, I would suggest you dice it. Okay, and you can use pretty much what color you love when it comes to the bell pepper. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know that different bell peppers let off a different flavor. They do. And not only the beautiful color that they give, but they're all taste different flavors, the different colors. All right, we're just gonna break them down, same thing. How many of you, I'd love to hear from you, how many of you loved seeing me break the chicken down as a tutorial in this video? Or would you rather me had did that, you know, maybe on a separate video? I'd love to hear from you. Anytime I get a chance to teach somebody something, whenever it comes to cooking, I'm gonna do it. And I thought this is the perfect opportunity to be able to show them how to break a whole chicken down. And you know, it's much cheaper. It's so much cheaper than buying the chicken that's already cut up. They charge you for that. So you buy a whole chicken at a cheaper price and cut it up yourself. And you see, it can be done. And it's not stressful. As long as you got a nice sharp knife, you're good to go, right? Absolutely you are. Beautiful. We're gonna cut the onion off camera. Okay, and then I'll be right back. We're gonna season up our broth to give it some great flavor. Just like so. Stress-free recipe. Go ahead and add some of our veggies right in. Some of the onion, some of the green bell pepper, some of the celery. Just like so. Be sure to leave some because some goes in later. Take this opportunity to season. When you season your broth several times during this recipe, I'm gonna go in, taste it, and re-season. I'd like to typically tell people you'll probably need to re-season about 3 times. And if you need to add more water, then don't be afraid to add more water, because a lot of times when we're cooking our chicken so long, your water will evaporate, and that naturally happens. So when you add more liquid, you need to re-season, of course, right? So let's go right in with onion powder. Beautiful, it smells great. Garlic powder, a little bit of red pepper flakes if you and your family like a little bit of heat in the back of the palate. Not enough to knock anybody's socks off, right? But just a little bit, right? We're gonna go in with that chicken bouillon powder. It always gives such a great flavor, and you know it does. And we're gonna do some Creole seasoning here. Creole seasoning is gorgeous. Not too much though, right? And then we're gonna put some black pepper. And let that thing simmer. Just a couple, just a couple. Put our chicken to boil on the larger stove, and I really just have the heat on a medium heat. So now there's 2 vegetables that get put in at the last minute, and the reason why is because you don't want them to turn into mush. One, which is my favorite vegetable, the butternut squash. The butternut squash will give you a headache. And what I mean by that, like not literally, but trying to peel it sometimes can be stressful. But I'm telling you one thing, it is worth it. The inside of this butternut squash is so succulent. It's so delicious. It's so tender. It's buttery. It's sweet. It's everything that you want in a vegetable, and I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you, but I don't enjoy peeling it. So we're gonna peel it. You've got 2 options. You can peel it with the paring knife. You can either use, you know, a peeler, and then we're gonna break it down. And in this part, there are some seeds that you would carve out as if you had like, you know, a pumpkin. There's a small amount of seeds in there. And then we're going to chop it up and we'll put it in at the last minute. I think the route that I'm going to go is I'm going to use a paring knife to get it nice and peeled. And then I'll show you how I chop it up. Now, there are some supermarkets like Kroger and Walmart. I do know that they sell this cut up for you already, frozen in the bag. But I do also know that when you use it, it's mushy, and I don't want that. And so that's why I would rather do it this way myself. Sometimes it's better to do things yourself, right? Absolutely. Okay, and so that's definite in this case. Or you could find it in the produce section where it's fresh like this. It's already been peeled. But in that case, once again, I feel like it's mush. So we're going to do it this way. I got a nice cleaver here. We're going to see what we can do. Okay. It's not the most even slice, but I'm okay with it because we're still going to be able to break it down into squares like we want. All right. Not too small of pieces. Try to make them all the same size. That way they all cook around the same time, you know. quick and simple recipe. So much fun to make. Your whole family, even the kids, will love this. And the meat turns out so delicious. My goodness. I feel like this is kind of like the beef stew. The beef stew of chicken recipes. Really it is. And who doesn't love beef stew, right? We all do. Perfect. I'm going to continue to chop this down. And when I come back in the next clip, we'll be checking in on our chicken. Here is the perfect amount. And this right here, guess what I'm going to do with it? I'm going to wrap this up, put it right into the refrigerator, and tomorrow morning I'll make some corned beef hash. I got some corned beef. I'm going to chop this up, or you could shred it, and then you put a little bit of onions in there and fry it in the morning with some over easy eggs. Listen to me. Take a peek in at this thing. Look at, yeah, you guys, listen to me. You would not believe right now what my house smells like. Oh my goodness, I know the neighbors can smell it. I know that they're wondering, what is she cooking now? Look at this, how gorgeous. And you know what? You cook it until this chicken falls off of the bone. And like I said, several times we'll go in. Several times we'll go in and we'll season. You see that little bit of stuff right there? You can decide to skim it off like this if you want to, or you can leave it on. I'll skim it off, but I ain't gonna worry about it right now, okay? Let's let this cook. And then we got our vegetables over there waiting to go in. But I'll tell you the perfect time that they're gonna go in. Oh, it smells so good in here. It tastes absolutely amazing, but I needed more seasoning. So we re-seasoned. And I want to talk about something super interesting. If you want this broth a little bit thicker, you can use a cornstarch slurry. You're going to use 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, a little bit of water, mix it together, throw it in here. The sauce gets thickened and it's super delicious. You will serve this over like an egg noodle, mashed potatoes, or you can serve this with rice, or you could just serve it with a salad on the side. Okay, so we're going to let it continue to cook because, like I said, more than anything, I want that meat falling off of the bone. And once I see that, where it's falling off the bone, I'm going to put our butternut squash in, the rest of our vegetables, and our carrots. And finally, our chicken is super duper tender, falling off of the bone, and we're going to put our vegetables in. Okay, listen, guess what? Did you know if you were to put some potatoes in here, you could thicken up the broth that way? You could do that and it's going to taste delicious. Okay, so we're going to put that extra celery, bell peppers, and onions that we have. And I'm going to make sure I don't put too many of the carrots in because, once again, I'm not a fan of carrots, but I'm not going to not put it in there because I don't like carrots, you know? My family likes it, I'm going to put it in there, and if I don't want the carrots, then I can just take them out, right? Look how gorgeous this is. This is perfect for this weather. Once again, we have another snowstorm coming through. The snow is coming down, it's blowing, and it's super cold. This is the perfect recipe for today. When I come back, our vegetables will be tender. We're going to taste that broth, see if it needs to be re-seasoned, and we're going to thicken that broth up. This is what I call, that's some good eating is what it's really called. This is Gina Young style, delicious, homemade stewed chicken. I have a cornstarch slurry, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, a little tiny bit of water. Give it a nice stir and thicken up that sauce. The butternut squash is perfect. The vegetables are cooked just like I want them. You can still see in the chicken. Come on, chicken. Come on, chicken, falling all off of the bone. Look at that. Falling off of the bones. Make you some Gina Young style. You're going to live for this recipe. If y'all enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you ain't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Tell your family and friends. Tell the world what Gina's doing in this kitchen on a daily basis. Heavenly Father, we thank you for everything you've done, the things you will do in our life. Thank you for this meal in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. Amen. Once again, make you some. To let that, if you decided to put cornstarch in yours, you need to let, and look how thick it made it. Not too thick, but just perfect. You can pour that right over top of your potatoes or your rice. You need to let that cornstarch cook for about 10 minutes, and then we can turn the pot off. A quick plate, and then we'll give it a try. Once again, to my beautiful prayer, listen to me. When I tell you I'm going in on this. Oh, the meat. So succulent, super hot. Let's taste. Butternut squash. Oh, it's so hot. But yet it's so good. Make you some. You're gonna love this recipe. Look at the meat just falling apart. Enjoy.